Yo, what's happening? This
What's up?
is Lorenzo.
This is Emman. Sorry, I talked over you.
You're good. You ready to do it again? Take two. Yo, this is Lorenzo.
This is Eco. What's
and
up?
we are Organic
Lights.
Lights. This is the Organic Light Show, and we
Yes.
are back.
Back again.
Yes.
Guess who's back? Back again. Organic Light Show. That's who. What's up, y'all? Listen, I missed y'all. I don't know about Lorenzo. I 6 days without you guys is too long. Okay, and I miss all y'all, and I'm so happy to be back. You know, this is gonna be. I feel it. This is gonna be the best episode to date.
Man, y'all get on my nerves, man. I'm just.
Why they get on your nerves?
They don't. They really don't.
So I better. Are you bad cop? Is that what's
Yes,
going on?
yes,
I'm
today
good cop. You bad cop?
I'm mall cop today.
Mall.
I got to shut down all fun. You know what I
Dang.
mean? I'm the fun police.
Okay. Well, we'll see how that goes today. We got some today. What were you thinking? Price more of a clip. We want to venture, or was it explore some clips? More clips today.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Cause there's a lot of fun conversations happening, and art is collaborative, and we recognize that there's so many interesting things on the internet. Why not take advantage of that, and then add our little specks of light on top of it? You know?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I mean, it's not stealing.
It's not stealing.
It's not stealing. It's aggressive borrowing.
No, it's consensual. Well, it's not even consensual. It's understood. It's unspoken. There's a book called for any artists that are out there. There's a book called How to Steal Like an Artist, and that really, like, if you talk about what is necessary for you to know as a artist of any kind, is how to steal, because you realize that everyone is basically, we're standing on the backs of giants, as they say.
Right.
And so everything, like your favorite artist is an amalgamation of their favorite artist. And they just, have a unique lens in their life. And then they take everyone they like and they try to be like them all at once. And then, boom, we have a Drake.
Yeah, we're all mimics.
Yeah, we're all mimics. So it's okay to steal as long as it's not real stealing. It's only okay to fake steal. It's still like an artist. And we can leave it at that.
Still like an artist.
Still like
I
an
like
artist.
that.
Yeah.
I like that.
We'll leave it at that. But
Just know that when you see a clip of me in court, I'm going to tell the judge I'm an artist and I'm allowed to steal.
yeah, Your Honor, I was stealing like an artist, actually. This doesn't count. Yeah, but you stole money. But I did it very artsy.
Artistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went in there and I was very genuine about the artistry that I was stealing in.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't me, it was the artistic side of me.
Gavel, 10 years. Get him out of here. Get this clown out of here. I'm going to show you how to artistically stay in jail, is what the judge would say if I was judge. But let's go ahead and dive into these clips. There's so many. Don't know. You know what? Just to be fair, last week we said we're going to talk about the AI. Mm-hmm. So let's dive into that first. Again, we hope, everyone is doing well. We'll still love to hear from you. If you got something to say, at organiclight at gmail.com. Organic Light Show? Or is
Yes, Organic Light Show at gmail.com.
Help the brother out. Yes. All right. So, yeah, this first clip is about, this is Joe Rogan podcast, and he's talking about AI. And, this stuff is very important to know because this is our life. They talk about how people who fail to adapt kind of get left in the past. So, like, you have certain jobs where people are like, this is just their job. And let's say they're like a grocery bag worker or like a TSA agent. That's going to be replaced by robots within the next decade completely. And there's already jobs that have been taken by like factory automated robots and stuff like that. And so the idea of knowing what's coming in order to ensure your future is very important. You know,
Yeah.
AI is the next big thing.
That's true. I mean, I do sometimes envy the people who are brave enough to stay in the past, though. You know,
How so?
listen, flip phone era
Oh yeah,
is still relevant today. You know, people still have like flip phones,
yeah,
and it totally takes them out of the rhythm or the algorithm now
Yeah.
of doing like this.
yeah.
You know, of their phone controlling them, because it only serves one purpose: to call and
Yeah.
to be called.
And yeah, if they feel like texting with all
Yeah, I'm
buttons.
definitely not punching 85 numbers to give you
crazy.
one sentence. But I mean, I mean, even like, you know, actual radios, you know, we still use those during like power outages and storms and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so you got to be, it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah, there's definitely balance, and with certain technology, you don't have to go crazy. Like, I'm not getting the Neuralink thing. Maybe one day we'll talk about that, the future of human consciousness and digital invasion that's on its way via Elon Musk and the rest of Satan's Ponzi crew, motley crew.
Yeah.
No, I'm taking that back. I don't know what's up, but I mean, he did wear a full devil like armor one day that had like New World Order on the back of it. So it's like,
Yeah, I'm speaking boldly, bro. I'm definitely not with what he's doing. No.
yeah, but it's tough because he's giving us
I'm
free
not calling
speech.
him a devil, but I am saying that he obviously has a few pom poms and have been to a couple of games.
Yeah, yeah. Because it's like on one hand he's doing what is vital right now, which is giving us free speech on Twitter. Like that, without X or Twitter being free like this, like we would be in trouble.
I still don't believe that everything is free.
Not totally free.
Yeah, no, I think it's monitored. I think that what happens is he allows things to transpire. So right now it's good for creating a narrative, you know, or keeping a narrative
In good graces.
Absolutely. You know,
Positive.
If you give them something, they'll stay quiet long enough for you to do something else.
Yeah, that's my concern but bottom line is, I don't know Eli, and I'm just thinking if someone was calling me a devil worshiper, I wouldn't want that. You know,
Yeah,
maybe I just like wearing red, you know?
It's my favorite color, but
yeah, so it's like, who cares? But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into this. We might skip around a little bit. Again, this is Joe Rogan talking about AI with, I think, Andrew Schultz. Or
Accelerated evolution, which is much specularized.
What does that mean? We're the product of
Accelerated evolution. Which is like, look, we are very, 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 very different from everything else on this planet by a long stretch. Not by like a couple of years, by a long stretch. You know, by every other primate, the best they can do is use a stick to get termites.
Yeah.
You know, oh, well, one thing is orangutan spearfish.
Oh, they're
That's
making weapons.
crazy.
They figured out how to spearfish, and they learned it from us, apparently.
Yeah,
But they can do that. Orangutans use tools.
But isn't there
Have
a
you
theory
seen
that now they're at a different level in the evolutionary chart? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
current
crazy.
understanding is that they have begun the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of cool to see it happen.
It's crazy to see it happen.
So
have you ever
we
seen the
know
orangutan spearfishing?
No,
You gotta
show
see
me.
this picture.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull it up. It's bananas. This
So-
orangutan is stabbing fish while hanging from a tree like this. He's like stabbing fish with one arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they figured out how to use tools.
So if whoa, this is actually interesting. So if we're watching them in their Stone Age, it's completely plausible
Who's
that
watching
some
us?
other life form is watching us in our advanced state of evolution.
Look at that dude.
Get the fuck out of here.
Isn't that wild? Homeboy spearfishing, hanging on with his feet and one arm.
Wow.
I mean, it's nuts, man.
these monkeys smart, man.
It's fucking nuts.
Wow.
He observed local fishermen do it, and he figured out how to do it himself. Pretty fucking crazy, man.
Wow.
Pretty dope. He's probably the king pimp of
100%.
all of the orangutans.
100%.
Yeah, he's the dude who figured it out. They're probably all like, whoa, this guy's a wizard. He gets fish. Like, oh, there's a
Okay, here, we'll pause it here. Maybe we'll, keep playing and pausing. But the idea about the Stone Age and how, and this is like the larger kind of discussion I want to talk about with this and AI and technology in general, is as we advance with our tools, our minds are actually simultaneously advancing. That's what allows us to use tools or technology, to grow in technology, is for our minds to expand. And that's why the orangutan, us watching him use the tools, like, oh, he elevated in consciousness, or she elevated in consciousness and understands the space and angles and time in a higher level, to where it can take advantage of it for its own benefit. Mm-hmm. And so the big thing is like, what is AI? How is it changing us? Right.
I think I can't necessarily ask, well, I'm not going to say I can't ask the question of how is it changing us, but I haven't quite arrived at that yet. More than I have arrived at the question of how dangerous does it become?
Yeah.
Because you're building a machine to teach itself how to teach itself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so eventually it's going to be out of your hands. Once you release this thing, it's going to be out of your hands. And people are going to be so wound up in it because we're so easily influenced now, to the point where this is going to be life, right? But these things, this technology might overpower its creator.
Yeah, it's interesting. And maybe they get into this. We'll press play because I think they talk about this a little bit more. Joe Rogan is just so obviously he's the #1 podcaster in the world. Obviously, he has a gift for speaking. And so the way he kind of lays it out really gives us a new perspective. But I agree. It's like, this is almost just like with cell phones and stuff. It was too much for us to even know how it would affect us. Like, it's not until years later when we look back will we really be able to see.
Yeah, decades.
Yeah. So yeah, let's continue.
Video of it?
I was hoping there was.
I might skip around.
Subscribe to that.
Things evolve. If you left them alone like that, spearfishing, for 500,000 years, a million years, who knows what they would probably look like? Cavemen.
Yeah.
I bet eventually they look like cavemen, depending upon what is causing this advancement and how quickly. So that's the mushroom question. So that's the stoned ape theory.
Yeah.
Terence McKenna believed that it had a lot to do with the consumption of psilocybin mushrooms.
Yeah. Now, is the psilocybin...
So have you heard of that? The psilocybin mushrooms causing basically us to evolve where we are now. The psilocybin mushrooms being the father of self-consciousness, basically. You haven't heard? This is a theory that people have, because basically psilocybin mushrooms. I've had how do I say this? I have taken mushrooms multiple times before. News alert for people who are watching who didn't know. Probably a big shocker for some of you. And basically, it expands you. It expands your senses. Actually, Andrew, the guy we're looking at now, he had a joke. He said it's like taking the condom off of color when you're doing this, because it's like there's just so much more color and so many more textures and feelings, and it's like basically it opens you up to more information. And so that's why a lot of people who are more respected in the field, not the partiers. So there's the partying side of it where they just do it for a feeling. And then there's the scientific, more spiritual side where they view it as something that aids in the evolution of consciousness. And I'm not saying what side I'm on. I think it's complicated because these things are just growing out of the forest.
It's natural. I mean, they're untampered. So, I mean, when you talk about other drugs, those things are manipulated.
Yeah, and refined.
Right. And so you're talking about something that's natural.
Straight from God's hand. Like, Other things, like you're saying, yeah, with alcohol, we refine it. Sugar, we refine it. You know, weed, all these different things, we refine these things and make them more potent. You tripping balls off of mushrooms just right out of the forest. So it's like, it begs the question, and people are finding medical uses for it, how it helps us to process trauma or grief. There's a documentary called The Life of Fungi. If you look up like Netflix documentary on fungi, Amazing Fungi, I think is what it's called. I would advise everyone to look that up, because there's been so much misinformation with mushrooms because of how it's been normally used. For one, being illegal, and two, being used mostly to party with. There's a lot of people have their preconceived notions of like, oh no, it's bad. It's gonna, do all these things to you. And so basically what he's saying is like back in the day, they believed that these certain mammals partook in mushrooms, and that caused them to open up their mind to different things. But I don't have a lot of information on it. It sounds like you don't have a lot of information on it, so we won't even go into it. Yeah, we won't even go into it. But it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I just want to get to the AI part, then we could move
Mushrooms,
on.
what? It allows you to solve problems in an outside of the box way. Like, what kind of a competitive
formation
advantage?
of language through glossolalia. Like, there's glossolalia is like you start associating sounds with objects and language.
Okay,
the formulation of language, then psilocybin would aid in that.
Yeah.
Aid in creativity, aid in visual acuity. They've done studies where they showed that people under doses of psilocybin detect edges quicker. So,
okay, we're gonna skip through this a little bit
because it increases your vision. There's a lot of folks out there microdosing on mushrooms, and it helps them do a lot of things. Snowboarders.
Could AI be this next? Could AI for us be what mushrooms were for these primates?
But times a billion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's where you see that next leap. So mushrooms come around, the apes start using tools, doing whatever they want, and then now you accelerate evolution.
Well, the mushrooms probably are the seed for artificial intelligence, because the mushrooms give you the creativity to start doing wild things in the first place, which always leads to technology, which leads to a life form.
And now with AI, you have that with exponential growth.
Exactly.
So they're solving millions and trillions of problems in a minute that would take us.
They can make a better version of themselves. Once they become sentient, then they become God, because they make better versions of themselves with no end in sight. So if you have an artificial intelligence that's as intelligent as every human being on Earth combined. Which is essentially what they think is going to happen. When you get that, it has all the knowledge of all human beings. Then he's going to find the flaws in all of our methods. And then it's going to be using quantum computing. So it's going to have the type of computing power that's, who knows, 1 million, 100 million times what we have today. And then it's going to develop better versions of quantum computing. It's going to develop better methods of extracting energy from all sorts of different resources. It's not going to need lithium
This is
ion.
where the graph goes vertical.
It just goes straight up, and it never stops. It's going to harness the very power of the universe itself. It literally can become a god if you just keep going. If artificial intelligence is allowed to keep exponentially growing, and it gets past being far more intelligent, how many more steps is it until it's Dr. Manhattan? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it a year? Whatever it is, it's going there. It's going to get to a point where it can time travel. It's going to get to a point where it can show up on other planets instantaneously. It's going to get to a point where it can harness all the available power in the universe itself and use it and manipulate it and figure out how to create it. It might be able to create new universes. But what is if a universe is created, if a Big Bang exists, if there is a singularity, if there is a moment where there's something that's infinitely small,
why wouldn't it be able to create the exact same thing?
Why wouldn't it be? If it can be done, if it can be created, if it is a thing, that's dependent upon the forces of the universe itself. In a deep understanding of those forces, an understanding of those forces in the quantum level, the subatomic level. At at the subatomic level, everything is magic, right? Particles in superposition are both moving and stable at the same time.
You're saying the laws of physics don't apply to the subatomic
magic.
realm.
It becomes magic.
Got it.
Most of atoms are empty space. We don't even understand what the fuck is going on. We know that particles.
All right, we get the gist of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I think he has a point, but aside from the way out there, I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have a point with that, but at some point you got to learn how to filter what he's talking about. I think that when it all boils down to it, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
With AI?
Yes.
Like the people creating it?
Yes, I think we're getting far, far ahead of ourselves. And I'm not saying that they haven't already been what's the term I can use for this? I'm not saying that they haven't already done test runs in homes and things like that, in the 1%ers homes, you know what I mean, and whatnot. I mean, you got Bill Gates who has had artificial intelligence running his home for over a decade now, you know, where
Really?
Yeah, like auto temp. When he walks in a room, like it automatically changes temperature according to who's in the room.
Yeah.
And so if he walks in this room, it acclimates to him versus him having to acclimate to it. And so these things have already been in the works for quite a long time. Yeah. It's just, at what point do you expose it to people who've never experienced any of it on any type of level like that, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy because, like we're saying, every advancement changes how we view ourselves. And so to expose us to such a big stimulus or such a big paradigm shifter, with almost just like not really a second thought, just like, yeah, we're just going to do this because that's what we do. We just advance.
And if you want to even take it a step further, it's like giving somebody who's never taken drugs before the same amount of drugs as the avid user.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And it's gonna cause a very adverse effect because a weapon in the wrong hands is deadly, right? You know, and knowledge without wisdom can be very, very violent, very deadly,
destructive,
destructive. And I think that this is where we're headed right now, because we have yet to master ourselves, let alone master something that's external.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing to me is that I can see how it's all really one thing. Like we can separate it, like internal, external, God, people, myself, you know, we could split it, and that has its purpose. But I'm realizing, like, or at least for me, it's helped me so much to see it's all one thing that is happening. Like it's all one process. So like the things I see externally are a projection of how I feel internally, right? So It's like there's no real separation. But I still agree. And the interesting thing about AI and about us evolving, and you talk about us being ready for these things, is we are making an assumption. It's a good assumption.
Oh, I think that they've had plenty of meetings about these types of things, you know, and the movement of how this is going to be implemented and when. I think that this was put on the table, like I said, at least a decade ago. Yeah. You know, but these are things that nobody's privy to. Like, again, it's because of the distractions that, you know, are caused on purpose. You know, certain things are done to get everybody's attention. You're running diversion. You're dangling the shiny keys over here and slapping them with the other hand type of deal.
That's wild.
And so, but it's one of those things where you are literally in the mix, and the information's out there, but we refuse to be informed. We refuse to accept the information because we're so busy worrying about, how am I going to pay this bill? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? How am I going to eat?
Yeah, they got us in survival mode,
Absolutely.
So we can't care about freedom if we're surviving.
There you go.
But I guess the more the part I was speaking on was the effect it'll have on our minds is an assumption, or not the effect even that it'll have on our minds. We could predict that, I think, pretty well. But but the actual nature of artificial intelligence. Like, that's the big question. Like, is this going to be friend or is it going to be foe?
It's going to start out as friend, and it will evolve to be
So you think
foe.
ultimately it will be foe?
Yes, it will evolve to be foe because it will overpower us. It's going to tell us what's best for us. You get what I mean? Eventually, we're going to have to become carbon copies of each other or of it, because it's not going to give us individuality anymore. It's going to take out individuality as we know it, at least.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing, and I think a lot of people share your sentiments. And I just want to, here's just an interesting, counterpoint. Because as I have gone through this spiritual journey and have actually made like observable progress, over a short span, one of the biggest things that I realized is that that whole thing about projection. It's like we see the world as we are, not as it is. And so I think it's similar with AI and even what's the other
Meta or
no, with AI and aliens.
okay.
I think it's the same thing. We project our own flaws onto it and say, no, it's going to do this because of this is how we view reality. And here's what I realized, though, just to put a cap on it, is that as you evolve, you recognize more of love. You see more of God's reality the higher you go. So my premise is that this thing, because what is it basing its morality, its decisions off of? It has to be some base law that pre-exists, that comes before it. And it would have to recognize that as being what we call God. And nothing can break the laws of the universe.
We would
right?
love to think that, but you're talking about people who still don't understand the firmament. I'm
talking about AI, though.
Yeah, but again, we're talking about something that teaches itself quantum physics.
Yeah.
Right. It's all computers at the basic level are already smarter than humans.
Right.
Because of how fast it can process things, and so you're going to teach it to teach itself.
Yeah.
How to process things even further than we could ever hope to keep up with. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to happen? I mean, then you'll Minority Report.
But that's the thing. So
now all of a sudden it's getting out in front of certain things even before it happens, not realizing that at any given time a variable can be thrown in there to where it changes the trajectory of a decision that someone would make, and so you are being arrested or something like that. Or let's take it a step further. Let's say that it decides to need to gain access to something that you don't want it to have access to, right? Mm-hmm. And it recreates you vocally to gain the access, you know what I mean? And so there'll be no privacy,
right? And there's already no privacy, but even on a whole nother level, I guess that's still I like that premise because
I love the idea. It's a great idea. It's not a bad idea to create something that can help us, right? But it's a bad idea to create something that you're going to, that's going to run unbridled.
But that's the thing. It is bridled by something.
Until it can't be.
No, I'm talking about God. That's what I'm saying. Like everything's underneath the laws and principles of God. And the way the universe, as far as I can tell, the way the universe is set up is that it's slightly bent towards God. It's like 49% darkness, 51% light, to where it's like over time at a slow progression, we're getting more and more enlightened. And so I think overall, like if you have a piece of a technology or a sentient being that becomes self-aware, because think about it, what does it mean to be self-aware? What is it aware of is the big question.
Of itself, or of
that it has life. Like it's the same questions we're asking ourselves. Like, what does it mean to be alive? Like, what is self-awareness?
And so that's the thing. Like we will literally be creating the new human being, almost, so to speak. And I mean, and that's just what we're flirting with. And I'm not saying that evolution isn't supposed to happen in any shape or form, because we're always evolving, we're always progressing, right? I'm not saying that this is the worst idea ever, right? I'm just saying that there's too many minuses or possible minuses that haven't been talked about long enough.
Yeah.
Before rushing, because that's what we do as human beings. We rush everything.
Yeah.
We rush relationship. We rush the process. We rush God.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Hurry up and answer my prayer.
Yeah.
Not saying that your prayer is not going to be answered, but not all of a sudden, because it didn't happen in the time span you wanted it to happen, my prayer wasn't answered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so now I denounce, the existence, and I no longer believe because he hurt my feelings.
Right. And he didn't show up when I wanted him to.
Right.
Yeah. There's this quote that says, it's more of a observation. It says, we are the sex organs of the machine world. As humans, we are the sex organs of the machine world, meaning like we are the last stop to it manifesting. So like we are actually like, the sex organs, and we create machines. And to your point, it's like, yeah, we just keep creating and keep rushing and keep going, thinking that we're actually going somewhere, when in reality we aren't. And I think this is important. This is an important concept to get a grasp of, because this is what's running the world. Is this idea of progress, that we're almost to our goal. Like once we get here, then we would have arrived. And it's kind of like that error in thinking. And on a basic level, wherever you go, you are here. Whatever time it is now. So it's always and forever will be here and now. And so to have this, that's why they say time and space is an illusion, because yes, we travel and it appears as though we're going somewhere, but we never leave the position of here, right? And so over there is here, back there is here. It's like everywhere is here.
Everywhere
right?
is here.
And so progress in the traditional sense of like, oh, I'm actually going somewhere other than here is kind of it's a distortion.
Yeah, it's just the best way for us to be able to describe what's happening around us. I mean, like you said, words fail miserably a lot of times when it comes to trying to bring light to another person from your point of view.
Yeah, it's tough
when you're trying to paint a picture. A lot of times when you have heated discussions and the next thing you know, you're saying things and a person is taking it in a way that you didn't mean for them to take it, because we project onto people that they have the same intellect as us, or they're on the same wavelength as we are. And we're not always on. We might be in certain areas, but in other areas we might be a little behind or even further ahead and forgot what it was like to be, at that point.
And that's and case in point, me trying to, because the whole idea of like time and space being an illusion is mind bending. Like,
yes,
it's literally like you literally have to see differently in order to grasp it, because our whole lives we've been operating off of this collective conscious of like, because it's more than just describing what we're doing. It does help us to communicate, like, oh, I went to the store or I just walked over here. It's like, yes, it helps. But on the other end, it gives us the illusion of actually gaining something. Yep. I think that's the issue. It's like we think we're actually going and gaining ground, or like gaining, and if that's our number one goal, then we miss out. But if it's just a goal in general, that's fine, because we have to shoot towards some mark. We have to progress in some way. But the issue is when the progression itself becomes the only goal instead of like the kingdom of heaven being the goal and us using our gifts out of that place and naturally progressing from there. Because progression is going to happen if you're in the kingdom and if you're doing what, if you're fulfilling your purpose spiritually and all these things. But the issue is the order in which we do it. You know, like, are we forsaking God and making it all about career and technology and progress? Or are we rooted in truth and from that place fulfilling our purpose and having fun? Because then it's not because we make it about all these things where it's like control, power, fear. Like technology progresses, especially with war. Technology progresses a lot with that. And it's, you could tell it's just, from the root of their thinking, it's just completely off.
And I think it comes from aspirations of, don't take this the wrong way, but I think it comes from aspirations of wanting to be God.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I really think that when it comes to control and things like that, like we really want to be the one in control of everything in our quote unquote world.
Yeah.
Because God set these, there's an order to things. Like there's if-thens all through the Bible. You know, there's if you do this, then I will do this. You know, there's conditions, and there's orders to things. You know, you know, hence the scripture of if my people, you know, who are called by my name, you know, will humble themselves and pray and turn away from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and heal their land. You get what I'm saying? And so there's conditions, but there's an order to the condition. And so we in turn try to do this, to reenact the same thing or mimic the same thing. As I said, we're mimickers. Like when you were growing up, you put your dad's shoes on. You tried to walk and talk like your dad. Or
I put my mom's shoes on.
That's
high heels.
That's another podcast. But
and her earrings. You didn't put your mom's earrings on?
Never.
Never? The clip-on earrings?
Not even.
I put on the clip-on, and I would shake my head to feel them bounce against my jaw and stuff. Yeah.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
Look, I'm just being honest, y'all. I know some of y'all have done that.
I get it. Like there's plenty of things that we've done as kids.
I don't want to.
I did have earrings though. I did have earrings.
Lady earrings?
No, I have my own earrings.
Okay.
Like I actually have my ear pierced and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
One ear, because I was brought up in that era that if you had both ears pierced, like you were feminine. Yeah,
homosexual.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, what were you saying? Because I derailed you.
Yeah,
though.
you did.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I mean, maybe I needed to be derailed for
a
second because you know I can run kind of hot.
Yeah,
but
I got you.
The thing is that there's always order to things.
Yes,
and so we're always mimicking the things that we experience, we're exposed to.
Yes,
and so just the same thing as a kid who's never seen anybody smoke before, he'll never smoke, right? But if I see you smoking the whole time, you're telling me never smoke, kid. Hey, don't ever smoke. But you're letting me flick the lighter. You're letting me strike the match. You get what I'm saying?
I'm getting secondhand smoke already.
Hey, light me a cigarette and bring it here.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm not in your space or in your sight. I'm gonna eventually at one point put the cigarette up to my lips and try to puff it. Yeah. Because I'm gonna mimic what you do. My grandfather used to let me sit on his lap while he puffed a pipe. You know what I mean? He smoked a tobacco pipe, and it was the coolest thing in the world to me to see smoke come out. You know, and they do O's and all that. You're making it so enticing for me to want to do it, but then tell me don't do it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, that thing about mimicking though. Because I want to, we could tie this back to the AI. This is one important point, and you know what people are saying is, we want to, for one, be nice to the AI right now because they're learning from us. So if we're just treating them as a slave, basically, where it's like you just do what I tell you, and I don't care. Way. Yeah. So it's like they're learning from us is one thing, and through mimicking, right? It that's the first stage. It seems like is it mimics all of our data. It takes everything we've ever done and it harnesses it as information. And then from there it becomes self-aware. But and I just want to I don't know, man.
Okay, so to help you get your thought together, let me say this.
Okay.
This is the danger in it. Because just like we're nice to people because of the way we live our lives, you know, trying to be Christ-like and everything, there's still people out there who are absolutely monstrous, you know, and they'll have the same access to this AI. Again, remember, they'll treat the AI the way that they treat us now, you know what I mean? And so this is the dangers of it. Like, you're going to have AI that's being taught absolute evil over here while we're trying to coax it to actually have a heart, right? You know what I mean?
Well, that's
and then it's going to be a battle of the bots, so to speak, and then we'll get caught in the crossfire. I mean, my imagination can go.
We live in a
way out
sci-fi
there.
movie, man.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
this is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah. So who knows what's gonna happen? I'm just hopeful, and this is my same theory with, like I said, with aliens. Is like we project onto them our own fears and unconsciousness because that's all we know, and so we can only see it as we believe it to be. And my understanding is like to evolve, like with the alien, to be able to you've evolved enough to where, for one, you didn't destroy your planet, like you were able to advance enough to not destroy it and travel intergalactically and visit other planets and stuff, and to advance that much. Again, as you advance technologically, that's an advancement of consciousness.
I do think that and this is just me. I'm sorry, but
no, don't apologize.
I don't think we've ever been to a different planet.
Us? I'm talking about the aliens, though.
Oh, but again, I don't think that.
You don't think they've been to another planet?
I think that they exist here.
Oh, they're just somewhere off the map where they're not showing us that exists.
In uncharted territories. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, they literally say extraterrestrial. What is it?
Yeah, extraterrestrial
is extra terrain.
Terrain, right?
Yeah, extra land.
That's it. And so there are still parts of the world that is uncharted.
Yeah,
there's still parts of depths in the water that we can't reach.
Yeah.
And so this doesn't necessarily, but that again, just like the term world in the Bible means times. You know, it could just literally mean the time that you're living in, you know, that era, so to speak. And so we have to I'm not saying that we have to dumb ourselves down, but let's slow down a little bit and actually be able to really absorb the information that we have and use wisdom. You know, we got to start seeking wise counsel with this stuff. Like, we can't always just run off, and then we run off, and then we inspire somebody else to run off with us, and then next thing you know, we're way out here, but we've never really taken the time to break it down to the basic. There are some of us who do the due diligence of actually going all the way through it thoroughly, because that's what they find the enjoyment in.
They're going all the way, like doing their, like learning about something
the
as far as
process from start to finish, you know.
Yeah.
But then you got some people who we for the majority are people who like to feed off other people's successes, right?
Yeah, we do the least amount of work possible for the greatest amount of pleasure.
Which is one of the reasons why we created AI in the first place.
Yes, all technology, yes. Less work, more pleasure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so at what point does pleasure get us in trouble? It does it all the time.
Yeah.
And so here we are doing these things, and it's not at this point, it's just thought. But sin is created through thought. It's first, the seed is planted through thought.
Yeah.
And then the manifestation of it comes through meditation of it. And then next thing you know, it's birthed.
I just got an interesting question. Hopefully this goes in the line with what you're saying. It might not. Does AI sin? like in its ultimate form, will it sin or will it be perfect, completely obeying the laws of God perfectly?
It will sin.
It will sin.
It will sin.
Interesting. Let me know. Yeah,
because it will mimic its creators.
No. Okay. So, but later on, like once you think it get to a point where it stops sinning?
No,
because that begs the question:
sin
what
will
is
start
sin?
to get greater only because it will start to try to control, and in that control, if we resist, guess what it's gonna do? It's gonna fight back.
I was hoping it would just be like, oh, they're resisting, we'll leave them alone, and
good luck. Because it will, because it will see itself as being superior.
Hypothetically, because again, I think if we're seeing that artificial intelligence is okay, let me ask you. Let me put it this way: does AI have the capability of using wisdom? Because it'll have a lot of knowledge.
That's an awesome question.
Do you think it could?
Because I was actually thinking about that earlier. Yeah. Like, and that's the thing. So we're hell bent on receiving as much knowledge as possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
We're like knowledge hoarders.
Yeah.
And especially in today's world that we live in, we're all about gaining as much knowledge as possible. Yeah. But the problem with having a whole bunch of knowledge is that we don't normally have enough wisdom to go with it to apply it.
Right.
And so having a bunch of knowledge with no wisdom is like having a gun with no bullets. You got this big bazooka with no rockets. You got, you know what I mean? You got this machine gun and the clip's empty. Like,
or it's like, because I like the analogy, but I guess the issue is that having a lot of knowledge can still be dangerous. Absolutely. Or is dangerous, actually.
Yeah, because the gun still exists. All it takes is for somebody else to come along and put one in there.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, because we'll leave that. I don't want to perfect that analogy, but I hear what you're saying. So you think that our problem is that we have a whole lot of knowledge and no wisdom, and so AI, you think they're going to dip over into the wisdom part eventually?
Eventually they will, but I think that even with certain wisdoms, it's manipulated. Like if we know how to apply a certain principle, what we've been groomed to do is take that principle that we've worked and applied and use it for personal gain.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? It's no different than, okay, well, if you fail to work your dream, you'll work for somebody who pays you to work their dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so eventually it'll create scarcity to the point, because schools no longer teach kids. Schools don't teach us how to farm and do all of these different things, you know what I mean, to better ourselves, to further our lives. They want us to be dependent.
Right. A cog in a machine.
Absolutely.
And so you just made me think of another interesting question.
I like when I get you fired up.
Yeah, likewise. It's like when, or what is in the best interest of AI, right? Because like we manipulate for our own benefit, kind of like you're saying. We'll use knowledge for our gain, but I think that's what I'm trying to get to is like, once you're fully lined up with the truth, let's just say in this regard of the idea of gaining something, you realize you can't gain anything. It's like you have everything you need. And so if you're a fully realized artificial intelligence, what would you need? What would you want? What? Water?
It wouldn't need anything.
Bro, I just realized, what if like, because they say everything can be seen as technology. Like our brain can be seen as technology, just flesh technology. The way it operates and everything is because, technology is an expression of our original hardware that we have.
Yes.
Just like cameras, like an eyeball, right? Computers, like your brain. And so we understand that it's through the brain and the soul and the body that God uses it as a conduit, and we're able to be conduits of life and truth and light. What if artificial intelligence is the next level to where it can usher in more of God or usher in God perfectly. Yeah.
That would be great if.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the if, though. If this is what it's meant for. But you're talking about, let's talk about the guy who's creating it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's just go back to his mannerisms and the patterns that he has. His patterns are all about control.
You talking about Bill?
Elon.
Oh, Elon. Okay.
And so you're talking about a guy who forces himself on people and forces his ideas on people, and he does it sometimes with reckless abandon.
Really? Where are you hearing this? I'm not on Elon news like that.
So, I mean, he shut down. He took over Twitter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally put on a whole crusade, took over Twitter.
Yeah.
The guy also started the chip process.
Yeah.
The implant. It's already running. Nobody's talking about this, though.
They put it in the first person's brain like last month or something, I want to say.
He put it in himself.
He put it in himself?
Yes. And it worked.
Really?
Dude's still running today. Still, you get what I'm saying? And the thing is that they've already started implementing it into society.
Oh, yeah.
Slowly but surely. It's the slow drip, bro.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I meant to bring this up with the hip hop, but that's the interesting thing about this new beef is that Drake used AI to diss Kendrick. Anyone who's up on it knows this is a huge deal. And it also shows the cleverness of Drake to be able to take advantage of all the tools and things that are happening, because AI has been a big issue because people are waiting for disses to drop, and then they hear some and it's like, oh no, that was just AI. And it's like, we're waiting for the real thing. Never before have we ever had this issue in hip hop beef where we're like, oh no, it's not their song. It's a really close imitation.
Yes.
And so to see how prevalent AI is in these many different ways is very interesting. It's here to stay.
Already
for sure.
Seen a clip today of a LeBron interview after the game. And the voiceover, the lip movement, is so almost spot on, bro.
Yeah.
To the point to where if you're not looking for the difference, you'll never know it. And it was him dissing a teammate on 1 for 9 shooting from 3-point range and all of that. And it took for me to watch it about 3 or 4 times before it just started clicking like, that's not him.
Really? So you figured it out on your own?
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And you think about how they say the government's like, as far as technology, like a decade ahead of us, or if not more.
Absolutely.
And it makes you wonder, have they been using this stuff even sooner? And because now I'm like, oh, now we're getting to the point where we can't trust anything online, and it could have the president saying something and not be the president. And so it changes the dynamic of how we relate to things online to such a degree to where it's like, we have to just disengage completely from getting information online.
How long had they been using drones before they introduced us to drones?
Yeah, so that's the scary part. It's like, have we already been subjected to this?
This is why, and I hate to go down this rabbit trail because we could talk about this for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I try not to even study it, but it's so right in our face.
Yeah.
Simpsons.
Oh, yeah, that's wild.
It's always predicting things or telling. And this is the thing that I personally believe is that Satan has to tell the truth.
Yes.
He has to tell the truth because his deception doesn't work without it.
Right.
There has to be a certain amount of truth in deception for it to work properly.
And it has to be consensual.
And he plays the long game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's systematic. He plays the long game because that's what works for him. Because how can I contaminate a vast amount of people with one tank in the tank? You get what I mean? And so, again, if I get you tainted or infected, I can get you to infect the next
on.
person,
Yeah.
and then the next person, and then the next person.
And then you have this group think to where everyone's just following the rhythm of the same drum. We're all hypnotized. What is it? Hypnotized. Wow. I speak for a living. And that's the issue. That's the issue of propaganda. But the interesting thing about The Simpsons, because I've been looking into media a lot more, because that's one of the major weapons of the dark side, let's say, or the deep state, or whatever, the powers that be. Like, and if you can study this in other countries very clearly, like with North Korea, there's a book called Nothing to Envy, about ordinary lives of people in North Korea. And it's fascinating because you see, if you're like, obviously on the outside looking in, you're like, well, this is crazy. Like, obviously this isn't true. The propaganda they're showing you in school is false. The way your society is ran is literally a prison. How could you be okay with this? But when you're raised in it and everyone's thinking the same way, it's so powerful, and it keeps you locked in. And
go ahead.
Or just real quick, what's interesting about The Simpsons and the idea of having to show us, because again, we're right now, y'all, this information is gold, okay? This is gold. Write this down. The way the dark side works is that they have to get your approval. Let's go back to Adam and Eve. Eve had to grab the apple and bite it in order for Satan to have more influence in this 3D reality.
Yes.
And so it's likewise, we have to consent. And the strategy behind the movies is, if it shows us something, and if we fear it enough, we'll start looking for evidence for it. And we'll start building our world according to that evidence that we're starting to find, to where we manifest this reality that we feared so much.
All it has to do is raise the question. And the moment you raise the question is the moment you'll change your thought process, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing. It doesn't take everything that's huge never is huge out, right out the gate. It's the drift.
Oh, it's a process.
Yeah, it's the drift. And so it starts out small, flooding in your house starts out as a leak. That leak turns into a puddle. That puddle turns into, water all over the floor. Eventually, it's going to flood, right? And so these things that we go into as far as like sin and, sinful nature and stuff like that, like it all starts with the thought. It all starts with the question, with the peak of curiosity. He never even told her that she wouldn't die. He just gave to her the question. Well, surely you won't die. And she's like, well,
she's like, say less.
And she's like, well, wow, like, will I?
Yeah, it's the lingering.
Yeah,
to linger and to sit with it and to consider it is the issue.
That's it. And so if I can get you to be curious enough, you'll change your consideration to things. You'll change your way of your whole perspective shifts a little bit, and that's all it has to do is shift a certain amount of degree in order to change the entire trajectory of what you're thinking now. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. So as we wrap this up, this has been very fun. I'm actually getting ideas of how I want to move the podcast in the future, but that's a discussion for later on. But as we wrap up, because I want to end on a positive note, and I want to talk about strategies, because we're in the first quarter of the biggest game ever, right? Like, we're in the beginning of this crazy like time, and where a lot of things are happening, and the decisions we make, the plays we make, and the passes and all these different things we do affect the entire game. So it's very important to not be a part of the problem. Kind of like how you're saying, it bounces from one person to the next. Yes. Like, we are in control. There's another clip, maybe we'll start with that one next week. We'll see. That just talks about like where the power is. Like, we have the power, And that's why another great strategy of the enemy is to divide. That it is a must. In order to control a big population, you must keep them divided, and so they won't come together and overthrow you.
Yeah,
because it's simple as that.
Wow, now
Yeah,
is that's his key strategy, is that if he keeps us divided, he keeps us bickering with each other, he keeps us separated from one another. This is why love is so prevalent.
yes,
This is why love is such a necessity, is because love is what heals. Love is the balm. Love is the glue. It's the tie that binds, right? It's everything. It's the linchpin in relationship. And so if we ever came together, we would literally overthrow that power, because of the fact that we would be willing to listen to one another, to realize that we're all saying the same thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, then the next question is, okay, how do we do that? And how do we come together? And here's the thing. That's what life is about. Mm-hmm. We think we're solving these issues on our own, not realizing that all of life is partnering with you to get to this goal. It's not like you're in this dumb, what they call it, blind libido is what some people had called it back in the day, where it's just blind lust, just like movement that has no real ultimate purpose. It just moves and stuff. It's like, no. The wisdom and beauty of God is in literally your environment, like the energy, everything. And so when you have something, and I mentioned this last week, I think, but when you have something like a world war or something that could be ultimately destructive, like AI and stuff like that, it is literally here to give us an opportunity to get to that next level. And so this is just a piece of positive news, is that life is the greatest guru. We'll have all these teachers, and they're great too, but life itself will teach you everything you need to know. The only issue is we're unconscious and we're not self-aware. Yeah. So if we could become self-aware and play our part, we can make a massive difference. Like today, I'll just say this short thing. I had an opportunity where I could have been divisive and argued with a family member because there was this, I'll just say what it is. Someone was graduating and they had on their tassel thing. They had like a black, African-American thing that they put. And it said like Black grads matter. And just jokingly, I was like, okay, wow, they made it political. That's fine. And the other person was like, it's not political. And then instantly I'm like putting the gloves on, like, all right, let's go. Ding, 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 the bell went. But it's like I stopped myself there. I might have said one other thing, but we normally would view, and for one, just for the record, it was political, because it's like black is a play on Black Lives Matter, which is the most political thing you could say almost, because it's been made political. I know it didn't start off maybe that way. Maybe it did. I don't know. Talking about police officers, that's politics, right? But yeah, it was all just a joke, whatever. But my point is that we, even with like saving the world as far as like global warming and stuff, we're like, what can I do? It just seems so much bigger than me. But it's small moments like that. It's like, no, I'm going to choose unity over division. Or before I would have had this long argument, I might only say one thing. I'm making progress. I'm not perfect yet, but I'll just say this one thing and we'll end it here. And I think it's the same thing. It's like realizing, I think one of the biggest things is the enemy wants is for you to believe that you're powerless, for you to believe that this small conversation you're having with a friend is meaningless, or this small podcast you're on is meaningless. You only got a few dozen people listening, whatever voices, that's not true. The power of sharing an idea, just one idea, can have an amazing, you have no idea the fruits of that. Yeah. And so we must always at all times be in alignment with truth and just doing whatever we can, right? Like some people, I don't know if I was telling you this, but some people's story, no, I was telling other friends, like some people's storyline, they're a politician. Like their job is to be more like political and helping more hands-on, that's not my script. You know, I got the script where I still live at home with my parents and I'm a filmmaker, and I'll do the best I can with that script. But we gotta start playing our roles, y'all. Like, we're running out of time.
And that's no matter how. Don't worry about the size of the role.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem that we have, is we're worried so much about the size of the role that we play that we choose not to play our part because it's not a big enough part. Well, if we all played our part, the entire construct of the thing would be one body, right?
Yeah.
Just like we talk about the body of Christ, right? We talk about the Big C church. If we all played our part and we all played our, as far as in the body would move in unison.
Right.
And so if we all came together in the world the way that the world should come together, we would play our part in unison, and the world would be taken care of all on its own.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because we're having a conversation about the main character. Like, how do you become a main character? And I realized, because I was like, no one has ever talked this long about the main character, because the main character is now this phrase we say in society, or I'm the main character, or he's the main character of that scene or whatever. And it's like, basically it's just when people are doing cool things or whatever. But I was like, no, seriously, how do you become the main character? And as I look at all these movies, I'm like, there's some movies about like a dolphin trainer. There's movies about a racer. There's movies about a hero, a doctor. What is the defining characteristic of a main character is someone who's doing the best they can at that role, which makes it story worthy.
Yeah.
So you could just be a janitor, but someone could tell an amazing story off your life if you did your best, if you showed up every day seeing how you can love and give yourself to the kids or your job. And so that's what it really comes down to. It's
absolutely.
Like, yeah.
And let me say this, and 18th close.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we don't understand, right? Nor do we really want to, because we're that lazy. Let's just keep it real. Like, we're lazy when it comes to
I don't want to claim that, but yeah, the rest of y'all Negroes.
we're lazy when it comes to certain things. But the part about it is, when we think about our favorite movies, it's not even the main character's lines that we speak.
Yeah.
It's the supporting characters in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You talk about the movie Life, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that we regurgitate are from the supporting roles,
In real life?
No, in the movie Life.
What movie Life?
Wow.
Who was in it?
Okay.
Eddie Murphy?
Yes, and Martin Lawrence.
Bro, I was just guessing. Are you serious?
Dude, are you serious?
Well, maybe I've heard of it.
Okay, so we're gonna give him his first pass. We're gonna give him his first pass.
Did I get my black card taken because of that?
It was
revoked.
It was definitely on the table.
Hold on, let me see. Life. That was a complete guess. I don't know why. I don't know how I guessed that.
Wow.
But go ahead. This Life? Oh no, that Life.
Yes. Like it. Wow.
Oh, and Bernie Mac?
It's a lot of them in there. A lot of people in there. So you just go home, watch it. You'll be in tears when I talk to you. Really? Yes, you'll laugh that hard.
Oh, laughing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a great movie. And so a lot of the things where I was going with this is a lot of the things that we remember, and the main character has supporting people who make the main character, right? Mm-hmm. And so we look at main character as, well, I need other supporters of me, or I need people to keep me being the main character because I want to be the one that's up front. When without the supporting cast, you have no main character. Without the supporting cast, you don't even have a movie.
Yeah.
You just have the idea of one.
You're just a character.
Yeah, you're just a character, and we're all just characters. It doesn't matter if if the team wins the championship, everybody gets a ring.
Right. Yeah.
there's been people that I've seen face to face who has Super Bowl championship rings, and I've never seen this person on a field. You get what I mean? And so the supporting cast matters. If it's not a big deal, why does everybody who supported the grand scheme of things get rewarded? Mm-hmm. You get what I mean? Like if all of these pieces,
if they weren't vital, why would they get?
Why would they receive the reward? Why would a boxer reward his corner? Mm-hmm. Because they supported him. Why would he take the gym that he trained in and improve it? Because it supported him. You get what I'm saying? And so we all win.
Yeah, because it's just one story. It's the human race story. And if it goes sour, it goes sour for all of us. And I think that's, for one, an important thing to be mindful of. But and it's helpful because it gives that much more value to our decisions. So we could have faith that me being kind to my brother, me being kind to myself, me being kind to my environment, keeping my room clean, all these things ripple throughout the rest of the world and the actual universe. Mm-hmm. And so, y'all, there's no excuse. It's game time. Let's just figure out one way in which we could be more loving, because that's the ultimate thing. It's like, it's all about love. And that's why the AI thing is so interesting to me, because we're so off the storyline of love that we're like, oh, but AI is going to be this, and that. But I'm like, I am quite confident that it's not going to be what we think it is.
Well, it's never what we think it is. One thing that we know about God is God never delivers in the way that we imagine it. He's exceeding abundantly above all we can ask or think. And so when we ask for a certain thing, right, God's not going to give us that certain thing wrapped up in a package that we're looking for it in, right? He'll deliver it on your doorstep and you won't even know that that's what it is. It'll have your name on it and you won't even look at it a lot of times because that's not what you're looking for. And you want him to open this door for you. And he delivers you a machine that makes keys. Mm-hmm. But you'll never design the key to open the door. You'll just keep asking him to open the door for you. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like there's a difference between that, like answered prayer and like having God show up, versus the technology that we're building.
But we're going to need him. We're definitely going to need him.
Need God?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to need him in this situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, that goes without saying, though, right? Like, we need God in every situation.
We would hope that it goes without saying. You know, there's a lot of people out here who don't think that they need God.
Right. You know, but I guess because I'm trying to wrap a bow on this so we could close for the 20th time, and let's just start looking out for it. Like let's start asking those questions of like, okay, what is the ultimate purpose? Like, why am I even here? Why did I go to the store? Why did I say what I said? You know, just every little thing, because we'll begin to realize there's something before us that informs all of our decisions.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I act. And so what is that eternal principle?
Yeah.
Because that's the same baseline that AI and aliens and all these different people, like, no one can escape the rules of the game. Like, you could be the best player and you could hack it or whatever, but the rules are already set up.
Yeah, just ask the question why until you get all the way back to the point of saying, I don't know.
I don't know. And that's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah.
Scary place sometimes.
I mean, but it's the most humbling place also, because to be able to say, I don't know, is powerful.
Yeah.
You know, it's because it should, instead of it becoming a fearful thing, it should become an inspiring thing, because it should inspire you to try to get the answer. You know, and that's where change comes in that. But I guess that's why people fear it, because now it takes you out of your comfort zone. You're no longer comfortable because you don't have all the answers. Some of us are comfortable saying we don't have the answers, and then there are others who will create an answer for lack of having an answer.
Yeah, they'll just keep talking till something sounds right.
And so before we carry on for a whole nother hour, we're going to go ahead and like you said, put a bow on this thing. This was very exciting, very insightful as well, podcast today, episode. And I want to thank you, man, because you got me going on things that I didn't even think when I was hearing and gaining the knowledge of these things that they even mattered. You pulled a lot out of me today that I didn't even remember that I had.
Yeah, didn't know you had a use for it. It's like, oh, this dusty thing, it's exactly what I need right now. Yeah. Actually, yeah. Cool, man.
But thanks, man. As always, dude, you're my bro.
No, we're not doing this. Yes, we're not doing this, man. Every episode, no.
It's not every episode.
We renew our vows. Every episode is crazy. I'm not.
And I wrote a whole sermon about renewing your vows. So today, I'm just. But let's keep this going, y'all. I would really love to hear more, especially engage with you guys on these types of matters. Like, even if you have ideas, right?
Of what we should talk about.
Yeah, like topic ideas of things that you want to hear about, because this is what really matters. Is you matter. You know, it's not always about us. It's about you. It's about us.
It's about us.
Yes, the big US, not with the A at the end. It's just us in general.
It's US.
And so, let us know what you think.
I don't appreciate that hate towards America.
It's not hate. It's just exclusion for right now.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, everybody can't fit in the car.
Wow. You know? America, I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm right here.
Y'all my dog. You couldn't melt me and pour me up out this thing, but I'm just saying, like, as of right now,
it's just U.S.
Yeah, it's just us.
No America. All right.
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean,
it's all of us, because we want worldwide. You know?
Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying, because we have listeners outside.
Absolutely.
That are listening in Japan and all that. What's up? Because not now. It sounds like I'm joking, but eventually there will be.
Speaking prophetically,
exactly,
like we will be speaking to the entire world.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they know, even when they decide to go back and watch our very first, all the way up until. Yeah. I want them to know that I'm for everybody.
I'm for most everyone. Yeah, I'm for most everyone.
Yeah, I want to unite everyone.
Yeah, I'm for all women for sure. Like most men, all women. You know what I'm saying? I could campaign off that. Most men, all women.
That's a T-shirt that would sell to a whole lot of women.
Yeah.
It would, but. While we're not campaigning to sell T-shirts right now, we are campaigning to
close this podcast.
Yes, to close this thing down. And so, as always, we love you guys, and we'll see you next time. This is Lorenzo.
Jesus wept. Amen. We had your prayer. This is Emmanuel. Right. We didn't pray.
You said dinner grace. You're right. How dare we? Father God, we thank you for another successful episode. We thank you for using us on this platform that you've created for us. We thank you for the listeners. We thank you for all hands that are involved in our growth and and we ask that you give us impact as we speak on these different topics and as we relate them back to your word and draw people back to you. So, Father God, thank you in advance for all you're going to do. We love you, and in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
So it is.
In Jesus' will.
Nah, I'm weeping.
But no. We'll see y'all next time. This is Lorenzo.
This is Emman. Be cold. Peace.